Welcome to Fake Love and Flying Monkeys, the podcast where fake love is exposed. I'm Nova Gibson and I am your host. I'm the principal counsellor at Brighter Outlook Narcissistic Abuse Counselling.com.au. This space is dedicated to helping you reclaim your worth and understand the impact of toxic relationships with suspected narcissists. You deserve clarity, healing, and freedom from the pain of fake love and flying monkeys. So please leave a review and grab a copy of my book, Fake Love, Understanding and Healing from Narcissistic Abuse. Let's uncover the truth and take back your power. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Fake Love and Flying Monkeys. Let's just say it. Let's put it out there. Covert narcissists are some of the most dangerous people you will ever meet. And the scariest part, you usually do not see them coming. In fact, I believe most of the time you don't see them coming. Hence why they're called covert narcissists, because they fly under the radar. They're exactly the opposite of what society tends to think a narcissist is, which is that arrogant, loud, flamboyant, bully or braggart that you can pick out in a crowd. You can see them coming. The covert narcissist is much harder to pick out in the crowd because they will be the opposite, often quiet, shy, even introverted and charming. And you won't pick this person to be an abuser in a million years at the start of the relationship. And that's their idea. That's the goal, that they enmesh with you quickly and get you hooked on the person they pretend to be, so that by the time you think something is off here, it's too late. You are all in and it is just too hard, nor do you want to, most of the time, escape. Now, to get you hooked on the cycle of abuse, the love bombing, devalue, discard, Hoover cycle, which just goes on and on and on, wash, rinse, repeat. To get you hooked in that cycle so you can't get off that merry-go-round, they need to change your personality. You need to have a new personality that they mold and condition you to have, essentially, so that you are easier to abuse. You will, as many of you know, feel like a completely different person in the end, one that is just a shadow of the person you were before they abused you. So yes, that covert narcissist is going to be the charming, passive-aggressive abuser who uses so subtle abuse strategies that are insidious over time, that are so cruel. And yes, they can actually change your personality. That is the goal. So let's unpack how they do that. Okay, so when you hear the word abuse, you might think of yelling, insults, all of those horrible names they call you, or really overt, obvious mistreatment. But covert narcissists, they're way more sneaky than that. They don't want people to think badly of them. They don't storm in and smash your self-esteem overnight. No. They slowly, strategically mold and reshape you. At first, they'll mirror you. They'll take one look at your personality and they will become the person of your dreams. They'll like everything you like and hate everything you hate. And you'll think, oh my goodness, we have so much in common. And the goal is for you to suddenly think you've met your soulmate, the yin to your yang. But this is all part of the trap. They're not bonding. they're studying you like a project, like a robot who is scanning someone for, or scanning some type of computer for information. And they need to find out what makes you tick, and what vulnerabilities you have, what wounds you carry, and what kind of person that you're desperate perhaps to prove yourself to. And that's when the shift begins. You mightn't even notice it at first, but the way you speak, think, and behave starts to change. It's not obvious, and not because you're growing, but literally because you're being trained, you're being conditioned, you're being brainwashed. Another strategy the covert narcissist uses to change and mold your personality is by rewarding you for shrinking yourself. And I know that sounds really weird, but if you look at what reward and punishments are, and what the goal is when we reward someone and when we punish someone. So if we reward someone, we want to increase the behavior they're engaging in. We might give them something good, a bunch of flowers to reward them, or we might take something bad away from them. Oh, you don't have to empty the dishwasher tonight because you were so good. Or by the same token, punishment. We want them to stop what they're doing. So we will either give them something bad. You can do the kitchen, clean the kitchen, and load the dishwasher, take all the rubbish out every night for the next month because you were such a bad boy or girl. Or that you can take something good away from them. So these are all strategies to either reward or punish that can be used universally. So the narcissist is going to reward you. In other words, make you do it again and again by shrinking yourself. They want you to be rewarded for actually being less than and having no needs and boundaries. So an example of this would be the ongoing process that starts in the love bombing stage, when they're telling you that they approve of everything and they love what you're doing. They make you feel good about what you're telling them and all the successes in your life. But then you speak up about something you're passionate about further down the track, and they're bored. Yeah, that's really cute, babe. Or next time they just give you some flippant, backhanded compliment that really is telling you that they couldn't care less. So what happens? Next time, you don't say anything. You keep your mouth shut. Or maybe you've actually called them out for something really shady that they did. Suddenly they're disappointed in you, and they sulk for days when they were the one that was engaging in the terrible behavior. So next time they cross a boundary, you let it slide, because that silent treatment is torturous. So eventually, without even realizing it, you are walking on eggshells 24/7. You're quieter. You have much fewer opinions. You're punished for having opinions. You don't bring up certain topics, and you downplay your success, and you start to overthink everything. Why do you do this? Because you've been trained to believe that the only way to keep the peace, which is a reward for you, no drama, no arguments, no silent treatment. The only way to get the reward of that peace is to make yourself smaller. Okay, we're going to get a little bit deeper now by talking about how they basically create a new you that's easier to control. So covert narcissists cannot control someone who trusts themselves, who speaks up, who sets boundaries and knows their worth. So what do? They've got to reshape you into someone who's insecure, anxious, and dependent on them for not only your reality, but your self-worth. So they erode your confidence away slowly over time with just subtle, passive-aggressive little jabs, such as, are you sure you're going to wear that? Maybe you should wear something else. You put on a few pounds lately, or you're just always so emotional. Really worried about you, even though what they had done was something that your reaction was completely appropriate for. Or maybe they'll say, no one else would put up with you like I do. So they also start to isolate you slowly. Maybe it starts with them rolling their eyes at your best friend or saying, your best friend is jealous of us. And over time, your support system gets smaller. And of course, they use lots of other strategies. But guess who becomes your only source of emotional validation? The narcissist. So eventually, you're looking in the mirror and you can barely recognize yourself. You are anxious, depressed. You are so unsure of your worth. You feel like you're too much one day and not enough the next day, or all at the same time. And this was not you before. This is the version they created so they could abuse you more easily. Another very well thought out intentional tactic that they engage using a number of strategies all kind of rolled into one is to make you become the crazy one in the story. And this is the most twisted part of it all, because by the time they completely dismantled your personality and created a new one, they've told people all over the place that you've changed. They'll say something like, oh, she used to be so chilled out. Now she's just angry all the time. Or he's becoming so needy lately, and it's just exhausting. And of course, what they're not telling everyone when they're engaging in this smear campaign is that you've been reacting for months, years even, to emotional warfare. You are not crazy. You are a human being reacting to constant, continual invalidation, rejection, and ongoing manipulation. But because they've already worn down your ability to trust your instincts, you start to believe it too. You do have anxiety. You are reacting badly sometimes in the throes of reactive abuse, and you start to internalize this. You start describing yourself in the very way that they do, too sensitive, too emotional, too needy. And then you find yourself going to the doctor to get medicated to fix this person that is exactly like the person the narcissist is describing to you. The covert narcissist also changes you by twisting your empathy into a pretzel and using it as a weapon against you. If you're listening to this podcast, then chances are you are hugely empathic. In fact, I think most human beings are. Something we just assume that other people possess, and we don't have to announce it to others. But now you know there are people like the narcissist out there who have absolutely zero empathy, but they know that you do. The covert narcissist loves people like you. Your kindness they'll exploit that, your compassion. Well, they'll use it to make you feel guilty and responsible and ashamed even. Suddenly, all of this terrible, bad behavior becomes your fault. And of course, you're remembering that lovely person that was so nice to you in the beginning. So you want to get that person back. So it's easy for them to use your empathy against you. You want to understand what's wrong with them, because obviously there must be a reason that they can't control, because they went from this lovely person who worships you one day to someone who acts like they hate you on the next day. They might justify their cruelty towards you because you were too sensitive, you deserved it, or they'll lie because you were too suspicious, or they'll cheat because you weren't meeting their needs, you weren't putting out enough. And before long, you start second guessing your instincts. Once again, you over explain, you apologize for stuff you didn't do. You become obsessed with being good enough. And here's the kicker. You're no longer the confident, intuitive person you used to be. You're now this people-pleasing, boundaryless shell of yourself who is so desperate to avoid conflict and walking around wondering how you became this needy, crazy person. Once again, spoiler alert, you are not crazy. They trained you to doubt yourself. And the last one I'm going to talk about in this episode, bearing in mind there are so many ways that I'll talk about in a future episode, but the last one is the fact that they make you feel so special and then they rip it away. So, as you know, in the beginning, you're everything. They listened to your dreams. All of your ideas were amazing. They encouraged them. And they told you that, oh my goodness, you're different from anyone else. They have never had a relationship like this one. And you are glowing. But then comes the shift. They go cold, distant, critical. They used to text you 10 times and oh my goodness, your heart would just beat a little faster when you saw their name come up. And then all of a sudden they don't text you for a whole day. So they've gone from texting you 10 times a day to absolutely nothing. So of course you're going to react. What have I done? Why are they treating me so differently? Where is my Prince Charming or my princess? They go cold, distant. They're critical. They withdraw affection from you. They go from thinking you're amazing and you can walk on water to suddenly telling you that you're a burden, you're annoying, and you're always wanting something from them. And here is once again where your personality starts to change, because you want back the first version of you that they adored. And you start to believe there's something wrong with you and you internalize that. So you shape shift to make them happy again. You silence yourself. You don't approach them with any type of discussion because you know how exhausting it is, and there's a strong chance it'll end up in the silent treatment. You start to overfunction. You become addicted to these little breadcrumbs of attention, which are nothing. They're simply days when they're not abusing you, but they feel so good because the abuse has ended, not because they are good. So each time they give you that little sliver of affection, it feels so relieving, and that's why those breadcrumbs feel so good. And now you're trauma bonded. They've effectively rewritten your identity from confident, independent adult to emotionally, physically addicted, approval-seeking partner, friend, colleague, or relative. So knowing that the narcissist changed your personality to be able to abuse you more easily, does that mean that you can ever get back to who you used to be, or at least to the person you were meant to be before someone abused you? So let's wrap this up with the most important truth, I believe. And that is, you didn't lose yourself. You were stolen from. But now you get to reclaim every single piece. The courage it took to survive this covert narcissistic abuse is the same courage that's going to carry you into your healing. You didn't become that amazing, strong, resilient, independent person that you are now because of your abuse. You already were that person, and that's why you survived. You now just have to refine that person, or more so, you have to believe that that is who you are and not the person the narcissist convinced you that you were. And the reality, guys, is that you can't go back to exactly the same person before you were abused, because it happened to you, but with lots of support and all the self-care and all the work you're doing on your healing journey, you will be happy again. But yes, your life will take inevitably a slightly different trajectory. That's only to be expected. But it doesn't mean that you won't be happy again. It just means that this trauma happened and it impacted on the next steps that you take in your life. And you don't need to go back to that person, because you get to become someone even stronger eventually when you realize your worth and you're helping other victims to get through their trauma. You are going to be someone who knows their worth, who sets boundaries, who doesn't apologize for existing. Someone who will never, ever again paint those red flags a different color and mistake manipulation for love. Your story did not end in the abuse. It's just the beginning. And that brings us to the end of another Fake Love and Flying Monkeys episode. Don't forget, guys, if you'd like to have a one-on-one Zoom counseling session with me in your narcissistic abuse healing, please just see my website link in the description to contact me, where you will also find a link to order your copy of my best-selling book, Fake Love. Please believe, guys, or I hope you believe now, that the version of you they tried to destroy, that's the version they feared the most. You are special and you are worthy of love, and you are certainly worthy of a whole lot more than a lifetime of fake love and flying monkeys.